So I should be cleaning my house right now, but I decided that I will do some yoga videoing instead. So go grab your mat if you don't have it already. Don't know why you wouldn't if you're already watching this video. And we're gonna get started lying on our backs. We'll just be doing some stuff for glute activation, some hip strengthening, maybe a little bit of core, hamstring lengthening, all that kind of low body sort of stuff. So just find your way down onto your back, and we'll start out just settling in a little bit. So take a second, soles of the feet are going to be on the ground. Look down your body and see if your nose is going straight down your spine, through your pelvis. Your legs aren't over on one side a little bit. We want to find where they're nice and even and centered, and then see if you can bring the feet a little wider than you normally would have them and let the knees drop in towards the center, hands onto the belly. And we'll just start with some long deep breaths. So send the air all the way down to the lowest part of your lungs. Try to let everything expand out and then all the way up into the collarbones. When you're ready to exhale, pull the navel in, pull in through the sides, let all the air leave from the bottom up. You can put your hands on your belly so that you can feel that air lengthening through your body. So noticing if your low back is lifting off the floor, maybe scoot your upper back away from your legs a little bit so that you can try to bring a little bit more flattening down in that low back. Just getting it nice and comfortable. And then whenever you're ready, start to heel toe your feet in so that they're at hip width, so not the outside of your hip, the front of your hip joint, so that kind of bony area. Again, looking down, making sure you have both feet evenly so you're not off on one side. We'll take our hands down, lift your chin so you have space between the back of your neck and the floor, and we'll start with just some nice glute roll or bridge rolls. So you're inhaling to lift up, lengthening just as high as feels good, squeezing in your glutes, and exhale to roll back down. When you get down to the bottom, you can let your low back relax off the floor, and then press back into the heels and lengthen up, maybe coming a little tiny bit higher, and slowly roll back down. So if you have looked over at the screen that you're watching and you're lifting your hips with your head turned, stop doing that. Just take your face so that you're looking straight up, holding there, and rolling back down. We want to make sure that we're keeping our neck safe so you're not moving your head around. Every time you lift, try to squeeze the buns a little bit harder. Imagine you're trying to bring your navel down towards the floor and your booty up into the ceiling. So they're forcing kind of in towards each other, letting your low back become nice and long. We'll take just a couple more like this. And then the next time that you have yourself rolling up, we're going to hold there. Squeeze the glutes towards the ceiling, pull your belly in, maybe you can come a little bit higher. Keeping with that long, slow breath. If it feels good, we're going to press more into the heels, and then we're just going to come down a little tiny bit, let your glutes relax, and then squeeze them back up to the ceiling. Coming down and loosening Exhaling, squeezing tight. Couple more like this. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit of a burn in the glutes. Don't forget to pull your belly in, keep it tight. We'll take one more up like this, squeezing. And then exhale, roll everything down. Take your feet a little bit wider and just windscreen wiper them side to side. And then we're going to find our way back into center. Heel toe those feet back in so they're hips width. You're going to take your right ankle, that's my left, your right ankle, cross it over your left thigh, hands down by the sides. We're going to do the same thing again. So now we're doing just the one leg. So press into the heel of your left foot and we're going to squeeze, lifting up. See if you can let your right knee drop open. And then as you exhale, slowly roll all the way back down. So we'll start with a couple of just the rolls, lifting and lowering, making sure you aren't putting any weight into your neck. You're pressing into the shoulders, chin's lifted. Keeping those long breaths. And then next time you have this hips lifted, we'll hold. See if you can let your knee drop out a little bit more. And then we're going to lower down just a little and squeeze back up. Press into your heel. You could even lift your toes off the ground if you wanted a little bit harder. Take two more here. And then go ahead and release down. We're going to pull the knees into the chest. Take your hands on the back of your left thigh. You can rotate your left ankle. And then bring those feet back down and we'll switch over to the other leg. So right sole of the foot's on the ground, left ankle across the right thigh, hands by your sides. Lift your chin so you still have that space between the back of your neck and the floor. And we're going to just start by rolling the hips up and back down. Rolling up and down. Moving with your breath. And this next time that you have your hips lifted, holding there. And then pressing into your heel just like before. You can lift your toes off if you want. We're going to come part way down and squeeze back up. So really squeeze hard. Last time like this. And then take those hips down. Bring the knees up towards the chest. Your hands can come on the back of your right leg. You can rotate your right ankle. And then we're going to do one last thing here on our backs before we move on. So we're going to Uncross the legs. You're gonna take the soles of your feet together like you're doing like a cobbler pose, making a diamond shape, finding where it's comfortable, and then we're gonna take some sort of like bridge type movements from here. So pulling your belly in, your knees will probably come up a little bit, but we're gonna press into the sides of those feet, squeeze the hips up, and then lower back down. So starting just with a little bit of a roll if it feels good. A little bit harder to hold up here. Maybe each time you can squeeze a little higher. And then this next time that you have your hips up, we're gonna hold. Try to get them really high, pull your belly in, and then we'll just lower down a little and squeeze back up. So as you lower down, the muscles will probably relax a little bit, and then squeeze, bringing them higher. See if you can allow the knees to come out wider as you lift. We'll take one more here. Squeezing up, holding, and then slowly lower it down. Let the knees drop open. Just holding here for a moment. And then bringing the knees back up, both knees into the chest. Rock around a couple of times, releasing any tension that might have built up in your back. And then we're just gonna roll all the way up. Finding yourself all the way over into all fours. We're gonna move through cat and cow a few times. So wide through your fingertips, pull in through your core. Just start to move through cat and cow. And then we'll come back into center, pull the core in, spread your fingertips wide. We're gonna bring our right arm, actually that's my left, so we'll start with left. Left arm, reaching it up, holding here. Notice if you've kicked your hips out to the one side, pull them back to center, pull your core in. We're gonna reach back towards the hip, and then come back up. Two more like that, so just reaching back and coming back up. Last time, just by reaching and back up. And then this time we're going to take the hand back. You can bring it to your low back. Maybe you can wrap it around to the opposite hip. Notice if your hips are kicking out, pull them back in. Keep your core really tight. We're going to slowly start to send that right leg back. Heels pressing, toes are pulling towards you. See if you can come open a little bit more. And then if it feels good, we're going to bend that right leg. Maybe you can grab for your foot, pressing your foot into your hand, coming into like a half bow. And then slowly bringing that down, bring your arm down, roll through cat and cow. And then when you're ready, we'll come through it on the other side. So you can stay where you are, but I'm going to turn around so that I don't hit my wall while I come into this. So we're going to start right arm lifting up, open. Notice if your hips are squeezing out. Pull them back to center. We'll reach back towards the hip and inhale to lift. Exhale, reach back. Inhale to lift. Last time, just reaching back. Inhale to lift. And then take that hand back behind you. It can just be on your low back, or maybe you can wrap all the way around. Pulling in through your core, make sure your hips aren't kicking out. We're going to slowly reach that left leg back behind us. See if you can keep the shoulder open. Pulling in through your core. Seeing if you can spiral the chest open a little more. Hips are staying center. Toes are pointing straight down. And then if it feels good, we'll bend that leg, grab for the foot. Maybe you can press your foot into your hand. Try to get your chest pressing forward rather than just bending in that low back. And then we'll release the knee down, take the hand down, flow through cat and cow. Whew. And send your hips back, finding child's pose for a moment, maybe bringing the knees wide. So when you're ready, slowly making your way back up to all fours. We're going to reach our right leg back, hips pointing straight down towards the floor. We're going to start by bringing the left arm out, holding here. Pull your belly in. So if you feel like you're dropping down like this, pull it in, maybe squeeze your glute to get your heel higher. We're just going to hold here for a moment. See if you can press into that right hand. And then we're going to do like a little sequence here. So we're going to bring the left hand and the right foot out to the diagonal, squeezing the glute. Your toes are pointing down. You're not turning them to the side. And then we're going to come back in and tuck the knee and elbow in underneath the body. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, squeeze out. Inhale through center, and exhale, squeeze it in. 2 more like that. Lengthen. Come to that diagonal, squeezing. Come back to center, tuck it in. Last time, lengthen out. Shift yourself out to that diagonal. Come back through center, tuck it in. Lengthen out. We're going to bring our left hand down, and then this part's hard. So taking your left hand over to the diagonal if you need to. We're going to try to keep our hips straight down. Press into the top of that left foot. Let's see if we can bring the right arm out. So you might find it challenging to hold. Keep pulling in through your core. You want to keep your hips straight down. So tapping the hand like I'm doing if you need to. Hopefully this is burning a little. We're going to start to open the hips up. You can adjust that bottom leg, coming into like a side plank or like a kneeling half moon is what I like to think of it as. Keep pulling that core in. Squeeze your glutes. See if you can spiral your chest open a little more. And then we're going to lift the heel and then bring it back down to hip width. So if your leg's naturally a little bit lower, that's fine. Just try to squeeze it as high as you can and back down. Squeeze it up and down. 2 more. Last time here. And then we'll bring that foot all the way down. Find your way up. So you're in like gate pose. You got your right leg straight. Squeeze everything in. Lengthen really tall. We'll bring our right hand down, lean over. And then when you're ready, coming all the way back up. And then we're just going to come back to all fours. So I'm going to turn around again so I don't kick my radiator. But you can come down on the same side if you want. Just finding your way onto all fours. Take a round of cat and cow. And then we'll sink our way back into center. So pull your belly in, press into both hands. We're going to start by bringing the left leg out behind us. Square your hip down to the floor. So if you naturally have toes that turn out when I say toes straight down, it's probably not going to make the same kind of impact on you. But you want this hip down so it's not turning out. Hips down, core's in, and we'll bring that right arm out. So squeeze in your glute, press out through your heel. See if you can press into that left hand so you're lifting away from the floor. And then we'll find our way into that sequence. So bringing the foot and the hand out to the diagonal, coming back to center, tuck them underneath you. When you lengthen back out, don't let your belly drop towards the floor. Out to the diagonal, back in, knee in towards the elbow. 2 more, lengthen out. Coming out to the diagonal, come back to center, tuck it in. Last time here, lengthen, making sure to keep the hip down as you squeeze out. Come back to center, knee in towards the elbow. Lengthen out, and then we're going to do that hard balance. So bringing the right hand down. Press out through the right or the left heel. Pull your belly in. We're going to start to try to bring that left arm forward. Ooh. Yeah. Try to keep everything square down towards the floor. Your weight obviously will be off center a bit. Pull in through your core. Tap down a couple times if you need to. And just notice if this side is easier than the other. So if you're right-handed, you might find that doing this side's easier because your right hip might be also stronger. For me, my left hip is weaker, so this side definitely feels easier for me. When you're ready, we're gonna adjust that bottom leg. Maybe adjust your hand, find your way into that like half, kneeling half moon, or whatever you like to call it. Squeeze your hips towards the front, press out through your heel, holding here. Keep pulling in through your core. See if you can square your hips open a little bit more. And then just like before, we're gonna lift. Take that leg as high as you can, and then just lower it back, maybe in line, maybe you need to go a little lower. Squeeze it up, and then come back down. Squeeze, and lower. Squeeze, and lower. Last time, squeeze it up, and then lower. Bring your foot down. Adjust yourself as you need to. Find your way into that gate pose. So both hips are squeezing forward. Lengthen your arms above you, and we'll bring the hand down. Reach it over. And then when you're ready, we're going to come all the way up. Releasing that foot under, find your way into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, send your hips up and back. Ooh. Take a moment to pedal the legs. Maybe shift them side to side as you pedal so you're stretching out through the side of the hips. And then when you're ready, we're just going to look forward, step your left knee, or your left foot up to your hands, bringing that right knee down. Take the top of the right foot down onto the floor and squeeze that glute. So this right bum cheek is squeezing so hard so that you're not putting all the pressure into your joint on that hip. You're using the muscle to hold you there, and it'll let your hip flexor relax. See if you can sink in a little bit more. let's see how we feel about this. So pressing out of the lunge just a little bit, still squeezing that back glute. You can take your hands onto your knee, you can bring them onto your hip. I'm gonna do knee, I think. We're gonna press into the top of that back foot. See if you can lift and then lower back down. Keep squeezing the glute. We'll do that 3 more times. So lifting and lowering. 2 more, keep squeezing and lower. Last one. And lower. And then take the hands down. We'll just switch the weight back, finding yourself in half split. When you get there, if your hips have kicked out to one side, pull them back under you. See if you can lengthen through your spine. Maybe you can sink down a little bit more. If you're sitting your hips back towards your heel, just try to bring them back up so they're above the knee. See if you can sink down a little more as we hold here. And then we're just going to bring the hands to the outside of that front leg. Squeeze your inner thighs towards each other so they're definitely not going out to one side. And see if you can walk your hands over to the diagonal, maybe further, hopefully getting a stretch down the side of your thigh. And then slowly walking yourself back to center. We're going to turn the right heel out just a little bit so that you can sink back onto it. So now you have kind of like a wide seat, but with this leg tucked under you. And then just slowly start to bring your chest down between the legs. Maybe you're not going to come very far like me. Maybe you can lay down all the way. It's almost like taking half of a child's pose. Getting a deep stretch down the back of that quad. If it feels good, you can take your left hand over to your left leg. Start to turn your chest open. And maybe you want to lean over. I like to hold my head. Try not to let your shoulders turn down towards the floor. So if this is not feeling great on your knee, you can bring the sole of your foot to the inside of your thigh so you're not putting the weight on your knee and you're just kind of have that leg bent, sitting on your booty. One more long breath here. See if you can open your chest more. Maybe you can sink down further. And then we'll come all the way back up. Slowly shift your way forward. We'll find our way back to downward facing. Noticing the difference between your legs. Noticing if your left one hopefully feels a lot more open than the right. And then we'll switch over to the other side when you're ready. So stepping your right foot forward, finding that kneeling lunge. Squeeze this glute really firmly, sink down. Keep squeezing your glutes so that you can relax through that hip flexor. And then when you're ready, we're just going to come out of the lunge just a little bit. So you're pressing into that front heel. Hands can be on your hips or on the top of your thigh if it feels okay. We're going to press into the top of the back foot and try to lift the knee up. And then lower back down. Notice if you let go of the tension in that glute, squeeze it really hard. When you're ready, press into the front heel, lift that knee, and lower back down. 2 more times. When you're ready, lifting and lowering. And then last one, lifting and lowering down. And we'll take our hands down to the floor, shift your weight, bring that front leg straight, squeeze everything in. See if you can lengthen over that front leg. Just like before, make sure that your hip is staying over your knee and not all the way back onto your heel. When you're ready, we'll take our hands to the outside of that front foot. Squeeze your thighs in so they're really coming towards each other, and see if you can walk the hands over, getting that deep stretch down the side of the thigh. And then when you're ready, walking your hands back around, you're just going to pivot the left heel so that it's pointing behind you. We'll sit back down on the heel. Again, you can have yourself seated down with the sole of the foot on the inside of the thigh instead if it feels better. And we're just going to reach our chest between the legs like you're trying to come towards a half happy baby. If you're feeling great, you might be able to come all the way down. If your hamstrings are not really cooperating, you might be high up like I am. You could even be all the way up here. Just seeing if you can maybe sink a little bit more with each exhale. And then when you're ready, if you like, just like on the other side, you can bring your right hand to the inside of that straight leg. We'll turn our chests open, and then maybe you want to slide over. Maybe you want to bring the arm over. Maybe you want to hold your head. Just keep trying to turn the chest towards the front rather than down towards the floor. And as you hold here, maybe you can sink a little bit further. When you're ready, that hand's going to come back over. We're just going to gently shift ourselves off of that leg. We're going to come to laying down on our side. So you can have that bottom leg bent to support you if you like. You're going to take your top leg, so it's my right leg, and you're going to lift it up towards the ceiling. Toes, so the toes are pointing upward, not forward, so that hip's open. And we're going to bring the leg all the way up. You can hold on to the leg wherever you can reach. Maybe you can get to your toes. If it feels good, you can lengthen that opposite leg long. Whoop. Try not to fall over. See if you can squeeze everything open. Squeezing the glute on that lifted leg. So this is good to do if you're trying to get hand to big toe pose, standing, so like imagine I'm standing on the ground. And then we're going to let go of our foot and bring the hand down to the floor. You can bring your head up if you like to. We're going to press into the heel. You're going to, as slowly as possible, start to lower your foot down in front of you. So slowly, slowly, slowly. Eventually that outer hip's going to start to engage. If your foot's all the way down on the ground again, you didn't go slowly enough. We don't want to have the foot touch. We're going to hover it down at the bottom. Ooh. And then the hard part is trying to get it all the way back up. So squeezing that outer glute. Lifting, lifting, lifting. Ooh, all the way up. Ooh. And then bending the knee. You can bend the bottom leg too. We're just going to grab hold of the foot, getting a little quad stretch here. And we'll lengthen that leg back out. Coming up and all the way over to the other side to do it again. So just like before, you can bend the bottom leg if you want to. Your top leg, it's my left, is gonna turn, toes facing up towards the ceiling, and we'll lift all the way up. Starting there, grab hold of wherever you can reach. So it might just be the leg, back of the knee. You might be able to get your toes. Maybe you can get the bottom leg straight. Ooh, maybe you're rolling all over the place like me. Try to squeeze through the glutes. Just noticing if this side feels more difficult or easier than the other side. And then when you're ready, we're gonna release the foot, but keep it lifted. You can take your hand down in front of you. You can bend the bottom leg. Head can come onto your hand if you'd like. And just like before, slowly as possible. So you're moving at like snail's speed. Just starting to lower that foot down in front of you. Keep the leg activated the whole time. So you're pressing through your heel. Might need to get your core involved in it too. It's like right about here that it starts to get hard. Remember, we're not gonna let the foot touch the ground. We're gonna let it hover at the bottom. So I moved my hand off the floor because I found I was putting all the weight into it. So we want to let the leg do everything. When it gets right above the floor, you're gonna take a long deep breath and then slowly start to lift it again. Really activating through like gluteus minimus, gluteus medius. Noticing if one side's harder. So like I said earlier, my left hip is way weaker than my right hip. I'm trying to work on that, but this is so hard. Ooh, almost there. Make sure you bring it all the way up before you give up. We'll bend the knee. Woo. Grab hold of the foot, give yourself a quad stretch. Slow the breath down. When you're ready, releasing that foot, we're gonna come onto our backs. So we're gonna start by bringing the right ankle across the left thigh, or that's my left. The left ankle across the right thigh. Cross it all the way over. Let that foot kind of relax. So it's not ankle across thigh, it's knee across thigh. So you're trying to bring it all the way over. We're gonna walk the right foot over towards the left. So they're starting to cross each other like this. And then if it feels good, you can bring the knees into the chest. You can hold on to the backs of the thighs. Or if you like to, you can grab hold of your shins, your ankles, your feet, whatever, and start to bring it out. So it's like you're doing cow face pose, but you're just laying down on the ground. So I'll spin so that you can see you have hold of these, and then try to squeeze them in. So just taking some slow, long breaths here. When you're ready, we're gonna release the feet. We're gonna keep the legs crossed like this, arms out to a T. And we're gonna let the knees drop over towards the right. So when you get over into that twist, if it doesn't feel good to have your legs still crossed, you can bring the left knee to come on top of the right knee. But if it feels comfortable here, just let that right leg put a little bit of weight onto the left leg. See if you can get both shoulders down onto the ground. Really pull in through your belly. when you're ready, slowly coming back to center, unwinding the legs, maybe rocking the hips a little bit, and we'll move over to the other side. So this time, right leg on top, walk your left foot over towards the right so that you're starting to get a diagonal in that bottom leg. We'll bring the knees into the chest. You can hold just like this if this feels good enough for you. But again, if you need a little bit more, you can hold on to the ankles or the feet. Really try to pull those knees into the chest. You're getting a stretch on the outside of your hips. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to bring the arms out to a T just like before. Let the knees drop over to the left. When you get there, if it doesn't feel good to have your right leg crossed around, just unwind them and stack one on top of the other. See if you can adjust yourself so your back is flat down on the ground. Try to pull the core in every time that you exhale. And then when you're ready, slowly bring yourself back to center. Unwinding, knees up into your chest. You can bring the knees wide into the underarms if you like. You can take happy baby if you feel like it. Just rocking around a little bit. Trying to let that low back be nice and flat. Just releasing out any tension that might have built up there. And then we'll take the knees in. Give yourself a tight hug, squeeze it all. Take a deep, long inhale. And then as you exhale, release down. So find your way into a Shavasana. You can stay here as long as you want, but I'm just going to stay for a few rounds of breath. So again, you can stay in Shavasana for much longer than this if you'd like, 5-10 minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and come up into seated. So just rolling off onto one side if you are in Lavresh a little bit, if you just needed something quick to do, and now you have to go off to wherever and don't have time for Shavasana. But if you do have time, please take it. If you're ready, we'll just press ourselves up, finding your way into a nice seated position. Taking a moment, let your shoulders relax down. We'll take a deep breath, lengthening up. Filling your body with air, bring your palms to touch and exhale them down to your heart. Just taking a moment to give gratitude to your body. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. You can message me, email me, whatever. Tell me if there's something that you'd like to do in class, or not in class, but on these videos. Or you can just give me some feedback. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. You can email me at Gmail. You can find me on Kickstarter. No, not Kickstarter. That's wrong. GoFundMe. You can find me on GoFundMe if you want to send a little donation so I can keep making these classes. I'm trying to get a new computer because I'm having to do it on my phone because my computer is broken. Yeah, so that would be really fantastic. Otherwise, you'll see me next time. I won't see you since I can't see you. Thank you again.